Hi boys and girls, let's go ahead and continue with lesson 31. Touch the first row in part 1. Let's see if you remember a meaning for those affixes. Touch the letters UN. What's one meaning of un? Not. Touch the letters LY. What's one meaning of li? How something happened. Touch the first word in column A. First word. What word? Ridiculously. Next word. What word? Particularly. Next word. What word? Tightly. Next word. What word? Actually. Next word. What word? Exceptionally. Let's look at column B. First word. What word? Unfamiliar. Next word. What word? Uncertain. Next word. What word? Unnatural. Next word. What word? Unexpectedly. Let's look at part 2, boys and girls. What's the underlined part? What word? Treasure. Next word. What's the underlined part? X. What word? Exaggerate. Next word. What's the underlined part? X. What word? Examine. Next word. What's the underlined part? What word? Sure. Next word. What's the underlined part? Oi. What word? Broil. Next word. What's the underlined part? Lee. What word? Occasionally. Next word. What's the underlined part? Lee. What word? Probably. Next word. What's the underlined part? All. What word? Stalled. Next word. What's the underlined part? Shun. What word? Situation. Next word. What's the underlined part? Oi. What word? Voiced. Next word. What's the underlined part? What word? Nature. Next word. What's the underlined part? Oh. What word? Boasted. Next word. What's the underlined part? Oi. What word? Moist. Next word. What's the underlined part? What word? Injure. Next word. What's the underlined part? Ow. What word? Sprouts. Next word. What's the underlined part? What word? Mature. Next word. What's the underlined part? What word? Brighten. Next word. What's the underlined part? What word? Ensure. Let's look at part 3. We're going to talk about what these words mean. First word. What word? Adapt. When you do something to get along in a new situation, you adapt. What do you do when you adapt to the desert? Get ready. One example would be wearing different clothes and so on. Let's go ahead and start with part 4. Everybody should be looking at the first word. What word? Through. Next word. What word? Thought. Next word. What word? Thorough. Next word. What word? Though. Next word. What word? Tough. Next word. What word? Colony. Next word. What word? Colonies. Next word. What word? Earth. Next word. What word? Canopy. Next word. What word? Atlantic. Next word. What word? Continent. Next word. What word? Realize. Next word. What word? Adopt. Next word. What word? Consider. Next word. What word? Ordinary. Next word. What word? Continued. Next word. What word? Dense. Next word. What word? Century. Next word. What word? Terrible. Next word. What word? Surroundings. Next word. What word? Loose. Next word. What word? Danger. Next word. What word? Destroyed. Next word. What word? Narrower. Next word. What word? Disturbed. Next word. What word? Sugar. Next word. What word? endure. Next word, what word? Amazing. Next word, what word? Cause. Next word, what word? Normal. Next word, what word? Possible. Let's go ahead and continue with the story. The title is A Green Toothpick. To realize how amazing the mature redwoods are, you have to remember that most other older trees become very fixed in their ways and would not adjust to the changes a fire would cause. Most young trees, whether they're redwoods or sugar pines, can adapt well to different situations. If you were to pile up dirt 1 foot deep around the base of a sugar pine sapling, the tree would adjust and keep on living. However, if you piled up dirt only 4 inches deep around the base of a mature sugar pine, you would probably kill the tree. Mature trees often become so set in their ways that they die if the trees next to them are cut down. When these other trees are cut down, sunlight reaches the base of the mature tree and the tree dies. Now consider the mature redwood. Remember, our redwood was 420 years old when the fire burned every needle from it. You would think that a tree so old could not survive, but the redwood is no ordinary tree, and a redwood did survive. The forest looked very strange the next spring. The charred trees that had looked like black toothpicks now looked like green toothpicks. Little green sprouts shot out from the trunk of every mature redwood, from the ground to the top of every tree. Sprouts also shot out from what was left of the top branches. The trees looked very strange, almost as if somebody had painted the trunks and the remaining branches green. The shoots grew very fast. By the end of the summer, some of them were almost 10 feet long. They continued growing rapidly during the next several years. The shoots near the bottom of the trees became shaded and died off. Those near the top of the trees slowly took the shape of a cone. Within 20 years after the fire, the mature redwoods looked quite normal again, with long, bare trunks and green, full cone-shaped tops. Once more, a canopy of green shaded the forest floor. The canopy was not as dense as it had been, which meant that some of the younger trees that sprouted from the ground after the fire had a chance to grow more rapidly than the young trees did before the great fire. Century after century went by. When a tree was 1,700 years old, it lost its top during a terrible windstorm. This happened the year before Columbus sailed across the Atlantic. The top 40 feet of a redwood crashed to the forest floor, tearing branches from the surrounding trees and leaving a large hole in the canopy of green. The hole made it possible for some of the younger redwoods to grow. One seedling that sprouted the next year came from a seed of a redwood. That seedling was growing in the loose dirt dug up when the top of our redwood crashed to the floor. The seedling looked ridiculously small next to our huge redwood. Our redwood did not grow its top back quickly. Over 200 years passed before the redwood was as tall as it had been before the windstorm. By now, British colonies were being settled on the other side of the continent. Things remained peaceful in the redwood forest for the next 300 years. 3 smaller fires swept through the forest, and one left a large hole in the base of a redwood. Over the years, a lot of animals used that hole, mostly squirrels and rabbits. It was big enough for 3 people to sit in. But it didn't really harm the tree. The wood from redwoods doesn't rot even if it's exposed to the rain. Water will rot most of other woods. Boards made from the pine or fir must be treated if they are exposed to the weather. Not so with the boards of redwood. So make sure you complete lesson 31, boys and girls. Have a great day.